I regularly list my South Carolina home on Airbnb when it's not in use. It's a simple 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house located near the beach. The 2 guest rooms are available to renters, while the master bedroom is kept locked to secure my personal belongings. I use both a regular lock and a deadbolt for added security. During early spring, I decided to drive down from Massachusetts for a week. Since I work remotely, I have the flexibility to do so. Typically, I hire a cleaning service after each guest, but this time I plan to clean the house myself after the current renter, Ramon, left. Ramon and his fiancée seemed trustworthy in our communication. I generally prefer renting to couples or smaller groups of women to avoid potential damage to the property. After a long 16-hour drive, I arrived at the house around 10 p.m. Exhausted, I didn't inspect the place and went straight to my bedroom, only to wake up after an hour at 11:30 p.m. Something had disturbed my sleep. I checked the rooms, finding everything seemingly undisturbed. Curiosity led me to review the security camera footage, revealing that Ramon had entered the house alone 3 days earlier. Concerned, I messaged him on Airbnb but received no response. Upon inspecting the bedrooms, I found no trace of him. As I sat in one of the guest bedrooms, I heard the master bedroom door click shut. Panicking, I called out to Ramon, receiving no response. Peeking under the door, I saw 2 feet standing behind it. Fearing for my safety, I rushed to the kitchen for a knife, only to find it missing. I promptly left the house, called 911, and waited for the police. Surprisingly, when they arrived, they found Ramon in the living room without a knife, claiming he needed a place to stay for one more night. Despite my concerns, the police released him, advising me to contact Airbnb. Disappointed, I changed the lock code and reported the incident to Airbnb, who banned Ramon but didn't compensate me for the extra day he spent in my house. It left me feeling that justice wasn't fully served, considering the potential danger I faced in my own home. I'm a 26-year-old still living with my parents, grappling with job dissatisfaction and uncertainty in my relationship. Stress has become an understatement for the overwhelming emotions I've been experiencing. One particularly tense week, conflicts with my mom and general frustrations pushed me to seek a weekend getaway. I decided to book a 1-bedroom Airbnb in Troutdale, Virginia, a tranquil, mountainous area just a couple of hours away. Despite my parents' indifference, my mom appeared unusually pleased with my weekend escape plans. On the other hand, my girlfriend found my solo trip to a remote cabin in the woods quite perplexing and suspicious. Arriving in Troutville after a serene 2.5-hour drive, I found the secluded cabin nestled amidst the trees. The Airbnb, as depicted in the pictures, was a charming private retreat surrounded by nature, perfect for a fall weekend. After settling in and exploring the trails nearby, I encountered 2 individuals on the gravel road near the property. Strangely, they stopped and stared as I drove by, not reciprocating my wave. It left me with an uneasy feeling, questioning their intent. Later, as I went out to grab some dinner supplies, I noticed those same 2 men hastily retreating into the woods upon seeing me. Feeling uneasy, I decided to take precautions and brought my laptop and backpack with me. Upon returning to the cabin, I messaged the Airbnb host about the odd encounter. His response downplayed the situation, attributing it to local teens wandering around. Despite my initial unease, I dismissed it and immersed myself in the cozy ambience of the cabin. However, as night fell, the power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. In an attempt to resolve the issue, the host suggested checking the main breaker outside, but my paranoia prevented me from venturing out. In the dim light of the fireplace, I heard a creak and spotted a tall figure in the doorway demanding my belongings. Frightened, I complied, emptying my wallet as instructed. The intruder then ordered me into the kitchen before making off with my laptop, backpack, and money. Quietly calling 911, I reported the robbery. When the police arrived, I provided descriptions of the suspicious individuals from earlier in the day. Unfortunately, the officer could only assure me they would be on the lookout for anyone matching those descriptions. After recounting the incident to the host, he appeared sympathetic initially, but refused to refund my stay, leaving me to question whether he might have been involved in some way. The supposed weekend escape, meant to alleviate stress, turned into a harrowing experience, making an already challenging period in my life even more distressing. A few years ago, after high school graduation, my friends and I decided to celebrate in the White Mountains National Forest Preserve. Living just a couple of hours away, we packed into Alexis's small Hyundai Accent, including Rob, his girlfriend Stephanie, and our friend Kelly. Our destination was an Airbnb in Carroll, New Hampshire, during the peak of summer. The scenic drive was enchanting, and upon reaching the house, we discovered it matched the photos, except for an aging shed nearby. Joking about the possibility of a quirky resident in the shed, we shrugged it off and settled in. Alexis and I opted to share a bed in the living room, avoiding the third bedroom with a view of the old shed. The first night passed without incident, and later we gathered in the hot tub in the garage rec room. Despite the relaxed atmosphere, an unsettling event occurred as Kelly heard approaching footsteps while we stargazed on the deck. Brushing it off initially as an animal, we soon realized there was something more substantial, prompting us to retreat inside and lock all doors. The next day, we embarked on planned activities, conveniently forgetting the previous night's strange encounter. However, curiosity got the better of us, and Alexis suggested exploring the old shed in daylight. Reluctantly, we ventured inside to find a dilapidated room with a dirt floor and a lingering smell of cigarette smoke. Despite the eerie ambience, we dismissed it and rejoined the group. Later, as we gathered around a fire, a sudden silence fell upon us, reminiscent of the previous night. The crunching sound returned, faster and approaching us. A flash of green light illuminated the backyard, followed by a blood-curdling cry. Panic ensued as Stephanie sprinted towards the house, and we rushed inside, calling the police. The officer found nothing during the investigation, attributing the flash to lightning striking a nearby power line. He suggested the mysterious figure was likely a fisher cat, though Stephanie insisted it resembled a cloaked man. Fueled by paranoia, we decided not to stay another night, abandoning our plans for the mountains. To this day, we haven't returned, haunted by the uncertainty of what lurks in those woods.